Hello, everyone. Zack here. James is busy competing today, actually. But here in the United States, Tomb of Annihilation has come out, and my local store, a couple days late, but still the same week that it came out, can't complain too much, has gotten in the Tomb of Annihilation set. So I've gotten myself an entire display. And I know that some pack openings happened, especially before it came out, but I thought it'd be kind of interesting to go through the whole thing. I have not gotten my hands on any of it yet. This is as close as I've gotten. I haven't seen a draft pack in person. I have not opened them. I'm not even entirely sure. I guess I use the perforation here. We'll see if I can get it open on the first try. But I thought it'd be kind of nice to go through all 8 of the draft packs in here, and then just kind of think about which ones would make good draft ones. If you had to get them in a draft, which one would you rather get? So, first of all, it's smaller than I would have thought. I mean, I guess when you don't have to get all the sort of dice and cards all kind of jammed together in the foil packs, I mean, a feed is much larger, but this is remarkably compact. Before we even get into it, I did manage to get the pre-order bonus because I pre-ordered it, and so this is the promo action that you get if you pre-order a whole display, and it is the Brazen Pegasus. It says up to 2 target character dice you control can only be blocked by 2 or more character dice. Kind of an interesting ability. I think as a 4 cost, it's a little expensive for what it is. It doesn't really make anything unblockable, although it can make it so that some of your characters get through unblocked. And the thing is, I think it would actually be pretty good in a draft, in a situation where you're trying to get cards around, or possibly with a card like Cosmic X-23 or Justice from the Civil War set, where they deal their full damage to all of their blockers, and so maybe you could use this in some kind of combo wombo way where you're able to make it so they have to get blocked by 2 characters and they deal a bunch of overcrush damage or something. But even then, you can't really force them to block. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm sure it'll stick around, but it might even be better in a limited setting where you're trying to get just some like extra damage through at the end of the game. But anyway, there it is. Interesting. That's the 13th action from the set. So, all right, I've not. It's been sitting on my desk for the last few hours. Very tempting, but I have not opened it up yet. So we'll break the plastic on it here. All right, get that out of the way. So, well, there we go. So it looks like there is some perforation on there, but there we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like they're all also sealed individually. So I figured we'll just go through them all one by one. And I'll try and keep them together, and that way we can actually see what each one is like individually. And then we'll look at what we got as a whole set at the end of it. So, first draft pack. I'm pretty excited. I've been waiting for this for a long time. All right. It feels like it's the same size as sort of a normal deck of cards. It's a little bit bigger, I guess. So there we go. So inside we've got that bag. Ooh, it looks like Triceratops. So I have seen some of the spoilers for this set. And I've not sort of memorized anything, and there's definitely a lot of them that I don't know much about, but I can definitely tell a couple of things. That one looks like a kobold trap. That one looks like a zombie. It looks like I see a couple dinosaur things in there. So, okay, so all the dice here together should be 24 of them there. I've got a Neverwinter Nights. I'm not sure what to do with that, but we'll try not to give it away. Okay, so first of all, you get the basic action cards. Looks like I got a foil one right off the bat, so there we go. We got Burning Hands. Deal 1 damage to target... Oh, it's hard to read that on this camera there. Target character die or player for each different energy type you have in your reserve pool. Also, deal 1 additional damage if you have a question energy in your reserve pool. If it was in your field, you could use this with a bunch of different fielded characters, but in your reserve pool means it's going to be a little trickier. But it is nice that you get to trick between character die or player. So there you go. So decent removal or burn damage in a draft. So that could be one of your basic actions. And then Insect Plague, draw every die in your bag, roll all NPC dice you drew. You may then re-roll any number of those NPC dice, field any of those dice that rolled a character face, place the rest in your use pile. Global, pay mask, once per turn, target NPC die is unblockable. I have to admit, I have been excited about this global for things like Foot Ninja or other allies, especially in Prime format, where you don't have to worry about blink transmutation. Making things unblockable is going to be pretty good. As far as the action goes, it is nice you get to field the sidekicks. good for blockers, and then also good for things that trigger off of when fielded, like Mimic, like Super Rare Jubilee, that kind of stuff. And it's a good price, three cost. So it looks like with this draft pack, you're going to have sort of your option of your direct damage and passively getting some blockers out. So all right, here we go. I'm definitely not going to pronounce this right. Acerarak. This is the common. Attune. Are they actually broken up? Oh, they are broken up by rarity. That's nice. Just like a pack for some other collectible games. So it's got Attune, which is the rare storm ability. When you use an action, deal 1 damage target to player or character. When fielded, resolve the double burst effect of a basic action card. So kind of like a morph, except when fielded instead of when attacks. With 1/1/2 when fielded. Oh my gosh, it's a 6/9 at level 3. So going to be difficult to refield it if you get it in the field and don't have some way of removing it, and pretty expensive. But if you need more Attune on your team, there's that. There's Allosaurus, common. No text, not much to say there. It's a 3/4, 4/4, 5/5. Ooh, that doesn't show up very well. And pretty good fielding. So that could be a big bruiser there on your team. Artist Simber. While Artist Simber is attacking, all evil character dice must block him. Kind of a Casey Jones for the D&D realm. Certainly possible to make a team that doesn't have all evil characters, but there is some good synergy with evil, so that might be good. Expensive though, 5 cost. Not an adventurer, but does have the ability to be equipped. And then 0/1/1 fielding cost, but for 3/3, 4/4, 6/6. Decent stats for the 5 cost there. I've got a foil gold dragon, which has breath weapon 1. It's a 5 cost, and anti-breath weapon X, so you can cancel out other breath weapon effects. It does have to be the same amount, and it's got some good stats: 4/4, 6/6, 7/8. Even breath weapon 1, just for eliminating small characters and sidekicks and stuff, that could be pretty helpful, especially in a draft. All right, Human Outlander. This one is an adventurer, has experience. While Human Outlander is active, during your roll and reroll step, you may reroll 1 die 1 additional time. So a little bit of mitigation there. I believe these are not the same symbols as the Gnome Ranger, but they look pretty similar in stats. It looks like it's the same symbol as the Artist Simber. Different stats though. Okay. There's definitely some synergy with other adventurers sometimes, but 1 extra die, maybe it'll help you. All right, Queen Grabstab. When fielded, field all Batiri Battle Stack character dice in your used pile at level 1. I have seen some of the rarities of Queen Grabstab, and I know that she's got some pretty cool synergies with the Batiri Battle Stack. I'm actually hoping to use some of those someday. But as far as this particular draft pack, we'll see if we get any of the battle stacks. But unless you can kind of guarantee it, like there's one other one. Well, that's the thing. Even if there was a battle stack in your draft pack, you'd have to get them both. So you'd have to have a pretty small draft, like maybe 4 or 6 people, where you could guarantee that it would come around again. Hard to say that you'd pick this up first. But possibly if you've already picked one up along the way. All right, Elf Druid. This one got spoiled way back at Worlds last year, I think. Experience has Attune, which is that rare storm ability, and a pretty good cost, 3 cost. It's got decent stats. It'll stay out in the field, and then you'll be able to use multiple Attune effects. And a new symbol, which is kind of nice to see. All right, Triceratops. This is the uncommon now. So we're into the uncommons. Elf Druid was also the uncommon. When fielded, KO target level 1 character die. Okay, could be pretty useful. 5 cost. I know the super rare for that is pretty good, but we'll see. All right, the uncommon Yuan-Ti Pureblood. 2 cost bolt with Attune and cannot be targeted by action dice or global abilities. From what I've seen, all of the Yuan-Ti Purebloods are particularly playable, and they have actually almost, I think this is the same stats as the Rare Storm from Deadpool. Possibly with 1 extra fielding. But they're 1 cheaper. They have an extra ability on top of hers. It's a little bit unfair. All right, foil, uncommon. This is Zombie. It has Regenerate. So if it were to get KO'd, it would re-roll, and if it came back as a character, it would go back to the field. If it successfully regenerates, prep any zombie character dice in your used pile. I like that the idea of the zombies kind of getting more zombies to come out. hard to kind of tell here, but this foil on this, there's like some background art that's kind of popping because of it, but it's pretty difficult to see in general. All right, ooh, and then the rare Elf Druid. So 2 different Elf Druid rarities in the same pack. Still, there's always an adventure experience. While Elf Druid is active, when a dragon character die is fielded, prep a die from your bag. Interesting that it doesn't say you have to field the dragon, it just says when it's fielded. So, I mean, if your opponent's fielding dragons, maybe just 1 die from your bag is not the best counter to that, but it could help you if you've got some counters that you're just kind of trying to get out. I think at this point I'd probably go for the uncommon. We'll see. And then the rare Kobold Trap. It's a 1 cost. So traps are continuous. They go into the used. And they get sent to the used when triggered. So the triggering in this case is that your opponent fields a sidekick die. And the effect is target character die with swarm, field target character die with swarm from your used pile on its level 3 side. If your opponent is removing your swarm characters, that's pretty awesome. They have to choose between fielding sidekicks, which maybe means you can kind of overwhelm them, or you just start getting more characters in the field either way. Also, as a satchel player, I just like seeing more 1-cost actions in the game. Maybe something you can do just to, even if you don't ever get to trigger it. Wonder how that works if you don't have any characters with swarm. If it still goes to the use pile, I guess it still would. Maybe not so good for leaving it in the field then. Alright, so if we're looking at this draft pack, if these are the cards that we have, and our actions are Insect Plague and Burning Hands, seems like, if we're going to use Yuan-Ti Pureblood, we're going to want to be able to use actions. We have an action, but we probably wouldn't get past this back if we were to pass this around. There are some other traps we might get past. These actions are kind of expensive, but maybe with the direct damage, combine that with the Attune. We could also use the Attune of the Elf Druid, which also has experience. Maybe we could try and buff that up a little bit, and it does do damage to target player or character die. So possibly with Burning Hands, we could be KOing monsters to give this experience. This might give it a little bit of an advantage over the Pure Blood. Possibly just taking the dragon, or even just this Allosaurus and just kind of trying to get big creatures out. I'd say if I were probably handed this, I would be tempted, I think, to go for something between the Elf Druid and the Yuan-Ti Pureblood, but that might just be personal preference. Obviously, it's hard not to draft the rares, but without anything guaranteed with Swarm being handed to me, this might not be so great if I'm trying to do the best. And this one, if I can't get another dragon, may not actually work out so well. So, okay, something to think about there. These are the actions there. We'll set that one aside, and we'll look at it at the end. All right, 1 draft pack down. All right, here are the dice for that one. Looks like a Frost Giant. There's a Construct. That's some kind of action. We've got a sparkly one. What is that one? Oh, I bet you that is a zombie T-Rex or something. It's the art on the packaging. All right, we'll find out soon enough, I guess. All right, set those. I do like how nicely everything fits in this bag. It's very nice. I'm going to take it out to play, obviously. All right, so last time what I didn't show is the card, so on the back of it is the code. I'm going to be giving those away, so I'm not going to show them on the camera here, but lots of keywords this time. We've got Attune, we've got Traps, we've got Breath Weapon, we've got Energy Drain, we've got Experience. Boy, Experience has a block of text there. The only new ones for this set are Attune and Traps. The rest of them were in the other D&D sets, but the reminder text on the cards has always been kind of sparse, and so it's nice that they have that right there so you can remember. Definitely had that problem in draft before. All right, our actions here. Create food and water. Basic action, so draw dice from your bag until you draw a non-NPC die. NPCs are sidekicks in the rest of the sets, or your bag is empty. Prep all dice drawn this way. I know a lot has been said about this already. For 3 cost, it's pretty good. You got a global that says pay a generic. Once per turn, draw a die from your bag, return it to your bag, or add it to your use pile. So that global makes this even better because if your bag is empty, you can pay 1 to refill it and then keep drawing until you get that. Early in the game, I think it's going to be great. Later in the game, you're inevitably going to draw a character die right away, and it's just going to go. You're going to get one dice for it. But if you can get a couple of turns of good energy, that's probably worth the initial cost at 3 for that one. Improvised weapon. A one-cost action. That's the third, I think, one-cost basic action in the game. Roll a die from your use pile. If it rolls a character face, target character gets plus X attack, where X is the rolled face's attack. If it rolls an energy, prep a die from your bag. Return the rolled die to your use pile. Yeah, that is a great action. The downside of not rolling the extra attack is you get to prep a die, which is pretty good for a one-cost action. And plus X attack. I mean, with some of the characters in this set, even some of the smaller ones, I mean, that could be 4 or 5 easy. And it does say the rolled faces attack. I'm assuming that means the printed attack. So your characters with experience probably wouldn't get to add that because it's the rolled die, the rolled faces attack. But I have to check on that. All right, so with these two basic actions, we're going to get some ramp, and we got even more ramp with improvisation if we roll otherwise. So it's hard to say what we're going to look for with these basic actions. We can probably get up to some pretty big characters, so maybe it's worth grabbing one of those expensive dragons early on with this. Maybe we can get it out early, and then if we can get something unblockable, maybe we can do something like that. So okay, let's keep those in mind. We've got Amber Golem. It's a fabricate, although it's 2/5, so 2 character dice with total purchase cost 5 or more, which sounds bad, but I guess that's a 2 cost and a 3 cost, so it's not the end of the world. When Amber Golem deals combat damage to a blocking character die, deal damage equal to that blocking character die's attack to a different opposing character die. So if you attack with them and they block, then you're probably going to get to deal their attack, maybe knock out at least a sidekick or something to something else. That's pretty neat. It's a 4/5, 5/5, 6/7. Which makes it pretty good stats for the golems. So yeah, pretty interesting there. There is a Batiri battle stick. This is Swarm. It's the common, so it's 2 costs. It gets +1/+1 for each other Batiri battle stick character die in the field zone. So you can tell that we've got 2 dice for it. So drafting this one would get you 2. It's easier to get Swarm in this double draft format because you could just get one other one, but I think it'd be hard to count on getting another one to get the max Swarm. I think the other rarities of this are going to be a little bit better, but maybe that's worth it, although we do already have a couple of options for ramping, so maybe it's not worth getting the Swarm in this set, although that means giving it to someone else. Alright, the common Elf Druid. Now we've seen all the different rarities. Experience, because it's an adventurer. While Elf Druid is active, at the end of your turn, if you control an active dragon, then Elf Druid gains an experience token. Wow. You could get that to be pretty big pretty quickly then. Just having an active dragon, just leaving a dragon in the field, and dragons tend to be pretty hard to remove with their high defense. Just get a bunch of experience. If you don't know, experience is a token that you put on the card, and for every experience token, it gets +1/+1 permanently. So it's not until it leaves the field or anything. And so if you can get a couple of +1/+1 tokens, then it's a 2/2, 2/3, 3/4, but it could easily be 5 or 6 attack. That would be all of them that you have. So pretty good. Alright, a foil common Frost Giant. While it's active, opposing character dice cannot attack. Your opponent may pay 1 generic per character die to ignore this effect. Per character die. That is brutal. That might be worth going for with our early ramp in this, with these basic actions, just to kind of... and look at the stats, 5/2, 6/4, 8/5. Early levels, it might be removable pretty easy, but at level 3, 8/5, that's pretty tough. Alright, Tabaxi Rogue, hope I'm saying that right. Also an adventurer, experience. While Tabaxi Rogue is active, when an opponent draws a die, other than during their clear and draw step, Tabaxi Rogue deals them 1 damage. That is pretty nice with Create Food and Water, because we can bring the action, and then if they use it against us, we can deal them 1 damage per die that they draw. That is going to be a big contender, I think, for the first card I would draft from this draft pack. Global, pay 2 generic once per turn. Both players prep a die from their bag. Kind of expensive considering it's double-sided, but maybe if you're kind of paying attention to what your opponent's got in their bag, you can kind of make it work out in your favor. Still pretty interesting. Looks like it has the stats of the Elf Thief. Where it's 1 fielding, but there's no way to mitigate that fielding cost on this one. All right, Tomb Guardian, another construct, which we then has Fabricate. Fabricate 2/4, just like a Flesh Golem. In fact, it even has the same symbol as a Flesh Golem. So you get 2 character dice with total cost 4 or more to purchase the die for free. While Tomb Guardian is active, prevent the first damage to each of your monsters or monster character dice from each source each turn. So, I mean, if you, the problem with drafting this way is that you don't have a second pile to look at where you can synergize with. So you're kind of counting on whatever you're going to get drawn. So, I mean, a lot of monsters getting the first 1 damage prevented would be pretty helpful, I think. We don't really have. We have so far we've seen the Battle Stick is a pretty good monster that you want to prevent 1 damage to, and Frost Giant's a monster, although it's not as important. It says prevent the first 1 damage from each source. So it sounds like if multiple things were going to affect your monsters, they'd still get 1 damage prevented. Pretty helpful. I probably wouldn't go for it first, but pretty good. All right, Zandala Simber has a tune, so that Rare Storm ability again. And then when fielded, spin target opposing good character die down 1 level. Let's see, we've gotten a few good characters. Looks like Elf Druid is a good character. That's the only good character that we've gotten in here. Tabaxi Rogue is an evil one. That's interesting. You know, it could be interesting. Spinning him down, not probably as good as just removing. Global, pay 1, generic, target, character die, loses its alignment until end of turn. I haven't seen any good synergy for that yet, but I know it would be interesting to mess around with. Losing your alignment means you can't be affected by things that affect good or evil characters, stuff like that. Kind of reminds me of the Ra's al Ghul lose your villain affiliation. So I'll have to see what else we can do with that one. All right, and with that, we are in the uncommon territory. So it looks like we actually had 2 sets of Amber Golem dice. They're clear. So Steel Fabricate 2/5. When Amber Golem KOs a blocking character die, you may pay 1 generic to move the KO die to your opponent's used pile instead of the prep area. Pretty good. You can fabricate it the same way, but it is 1 extra cost, which doesn't really matter because you're probably not going to try and buy it that way. It takes energy, but you can make it so that if only you had some kind of force block, you could make it so that something definitely goes to used. Could be pretty helpful there. Possibly with improvised weapon, you could give it +X attack, so it definitely KOs something. And it's got pretty decent stats on its own. Okay, interesting uncommon. Bird Song, Greater Order of the Gauntlet. This is the uncommon. An adventurer experience. When Birdsong attacks, character dice you control get +1/+2. So it looks like they made another bard, but they have tried to make it a little bit more fair. You can still stack it if you have multiple Birdsong, and you would get 2 dice for it, so that would be pretty good. More defense than attack, though, so kind of just makes it so that you can kind of clear your opponent's field, hopefully. But interesting ability, nonetheless. All right, Skeleton Key. Another trap. Oh no, not a trap card. This one gets rid of traps. Well, Skeleton Key is active when a trap die is triggered. Prep a die from your bag. If it is a trap die, prep an additional die from your bag. So this is. Oh, it's an undead. So it's actually a character. Sorry, for some reason I thought it was going to be an action. I like that a lot of these cards say when something is triggered or when something is fielded, but they don't specify whether it's yours or your opponent's. So you don't have to worry about if you don't get any traps. Maybe it's still useful if your opponent's using traps. I like that. It's the old skeleton symbol, it looks like. I think it's the same. 3 cost, a little bit high. Especially if you don't have any traps to synergize, it could just be that you never get to really use it. But we'll see. Well, here's a trap right here. Poison Dart Trap, 2 cost. This is the rare. Getting a little bit, I think I'm getting too close there. All right. So the trigger is your opponent attacks you, and the effect is KO any attacking level 1 character dice. So if your opponent attacks you with anything that's level 1, so if they attack you, then it triggers and it goes to the use pile. And if they don't attack with any level 1 character dice, then it doesn't do anything. But it does maybe prevent them from attacking for a turn with everything that they've got. Could be helpful. That's going to be hard to say. All right. And there is that Tyrannosaurus Zombie. This is the rare. It is a foil rare. I know it's hard to read on camera when it's a foil. It's also got a lot of text here. While Tyrannosaurus Zombie is active, at the start of your turn, field an NPC die from your use pile. While Tyrannosaurus Zombie is active, your NPC character dice are considered 2A and 2D zombies. Only their name and attack and defense values change. So every turn that he's out, you get an NPC from your use pile, and all of your NPCs are 2/2 zombies. I mean, that's pretty good. Um, I mean, it's kind of like giving your sidekicks +1/+1, but somehow they're also zombies. I don't know if the zombie synergy will play into anything else. So, okay. I mean, I think in a draft it would be pretty hard to not take the foil rare that you've got in here. Although I will notice that because of the distribution, you've got this kind of commons, uncommons, rares. I feel like I've played a lot of drafts where I only have one rare or maybe no rares in a whole stack, and so I'm not really focusing on stripes. But it seems like every time you're probably going to have two rares. It looks like, and so well, so far maybe it won't be true every time, but we've had two rares in both packs so far. So you're probably going to get another rare even if you don't take the first one. God, that Tyrannosaurus Zombie. I mean, the ability to ramp early and possibly get 6 dice and maybe buy Tyrannosaurus Zombie early in the game means that one is probably our best contender. Um, you know, I like that Tabaxi Rogue, especially with Create Food and Water. I like the direct damage that brings. Um, having Swarm is nice, but I'm probably going to focus on doing that. Yeah, I'd say with this one, it would be a tough toss-up for me between the Rogue and this one, and then you got to kind of think about whether you're playing to win or playing for cards. But this Tyrannosaurus Zombie can be pretty good, especially if you get it early in the game. You get all these 2/2 sidekicks out. Your opponent maybe hasn't built up enough. That could be pretty devastating. So, okay, another pack down. Something else to look at. All right, thought I was going to go much quicker, but I'm doing a lot of analyzing. So, see if we can move it along. All right, we got another Amber Golem. Some dice we haven't seen before. Looks like some kind of artifact, maybe a super rare. I don't know. Some of you probably do know already. We've seen this one before. We've seen that one before. We've got another Lich. That one's kind of. Oh, that's that's that new one cost that I don't know how to pronounce. All right. So we've got another one of our cards there. All right. So our basic actions for this third pack, we have Heist. Target opponent draws 2 dice from their bag. Place 1 in that opponent's prep area. Roll the other die and place it in your reserve pool. At the end of your turn, place the roll die in your opponent's use pile. Interesting. If you didn't have to give your opponent a prepped die, it would probably be even better. But if you roll one of the dice, so you put one in the prep area and then you roll the dice, and if it comes up as double energy, then you're probably just going to feel kind of sad about it. But, maybe every once in a while you steal something really great. Hard to say. All right. We've also got improvised weapon. We've seen this one already. So we won't go over it again. But a 1 cost. So yeah, I'm not sure that I would really focus on Heist as a basic action. It's there, but I probably, if I had this draft pack, would probably be counting on my opponents having slightly better basic actions, or just not using them at all and just using the characters that I get. But improvised weapon maybe could come in handy pretty well. All right. Common, actually, I think we had a foil common of this last time too. So we've seen this one before, the Asarak. I'm going to say Chwinga. Maybe I'm saying that wrong. Kind of a neat symbol on the die. So 1 cost with Swarm, but if Chwinga is level 2 or 3, it must attack each turn if able. Yeah, people were comparing this to the Kobold when it first came out. I'm still not quite a fan of this one. I think the other rarities are a little bit better, but for a 1 cost, you're probably getting either a 0/1 or somehow you're getting a 1/1 or a 1/2 that has to attack. Maybe if you need the bolts for something, or you just want to field them a lot for something like an old Firestorm team. I'm not a huge fan of this card, but there it is. All right, Dragon Statue Trap, another trap card. This is what, the 3rd trap that we've seen? Yeah, 3rd trap I think we've seen. So the trigger is your opponent attacks you, and you may pay X to deal X damage to all opposing character die. Now that is better. It's one more expensive than the poison dart trap, but in this case, even if your opponent attacks you with anything, you can deal X damage to all opposing character die, not even just attacking character dice like the poison dart trap was. That is just going to sit out there. I mean, eventually they're going to have to get rid of it and attack you with something, but it's awesome because it triggers on your opponent's turn, and so you get a field that could basically be empty if you tried. That is pretty interesting. And at out of set, you could use a force attack global to make that guaranteed. Ooh, I like the possibilities of that one. We'll see if that's the best in the set here, or in the pack here. All right, Human Outlander. We've seen this one. You get to roll a die at additional time. The common Kobold trap this time. Wow, a few traps in this one. If your opponent fields a level 2 character die, you get to choose one of your unpurchased character dice with a purchase cost of 2 or less. Move that character die to your field zone on its level 2 side. Gosh, I like that one a lot. If your opponent fields a level 2 character, which either if they roll a level 2, what are they just going to not field it, or let you get a free 2 or less cost character in the field, not even in your prep area? Doesn't have to go back to the card at the end of the turn. It's just your dice now. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting. That one's going to be pretty nice. All right, we got Valindra's Shadow Mantle, Energy Drain, which, if you haven't played the other D&D sets, means that after the blockers are assigned, you spin the characters assigned to it down a level before you deal damage, which is kind of interesting. It's got Attune, which is that rare storm ability to let you deal 1 damage target player or character if you use an action. Kind of expensive. If you're trying to get a couple of Attune effects, maybe with your 1-cost action you want to use Attune a few times, but I'd say it's a hard reach for that. Energy Drain is interesting, but I've never found it to be exceptionally useful, and it doesn't actually remove anything. It just kind of makes them lower level, maybe easier to remove. If you had something that dealt with level 1 characters, maybe that would be helpful. All right, these would look pretty similar to me. Zondala Simber. This is still the common. Attune. So just again, a Attune ability. We've seen this one before. The spin target opposing good character die down 1 level. All right. We have the uncommon Ember Golem. Again, if it KOs a blocking character die, you can pay 1 to move that to the use pile. All right, we got our first pirate. The uncommon Captain Lascular. He gets +3 attack for each other different pirate you control. I've done a search on this one, and there's not a lot of other pirates, so that +3 attack is not awesome. It doesn't have an experience, but it can be equipped. He counts as a pirate. You would at least get 2, but it does say different pirate, not different pirate dice. You need to have a different pirate to make that one pretty helpful. Yeah, if this one gets past 2 and you already have a pirate, maybe it's a little bit better, but probably not your first pick. All right, Dragonborn Sorcerer, the uncommon. Experience, it's an adventurer. It has Attune. A lot of Attune in this set. That rare Cosmic Cube is going to get quite a workout after this set's gotten a little bit more popular. While he's active, when your action dice deal damage to a character die or player, increase that damage by 1. If your action die damages more than 1 character die and or player, only increase the damage done to one of those character dice or players. So when you use an action, you get to use Attune and deal a damage to your opponent or a player, or to a character. And then if that action does damage, increase that damage by 1. Well, so far in the draft pack, we don't have anything that deals damage. This is going to just add to the combat damage, but that is an interesting ability. All right, we got Ras Z, Ruler of the Forbidden City. This is the first rare we've got here. When you equip Ras Z, deal 2 damage to all opposing character dice. So he can be equipped, and if you equip him, 2 damage to all opposing character dice. That is awesome. It's on the main step, so it's before you do anything else. I haven't seen any equipped cards yet. I haven't seen any gear, and definitely not in this set, or in this particular draft pack. So it'd be a tough choice, because I haven't really seen anything that would actually let me think that you'd be able to use that ability. But even with just 1 or 2 equipped dice, you could make that happen a few times. And we got a super rare. All right, so 3rd draft pack, first super rare. It is Kir Sabal. I was right, it is that pink one. Just like the pink dice from Fair and Under Siege. So, move up to 2 NPC dice from your used pile to the field zone on their question mark side. They are considered 3 attack and 3 defense Aarakocra character dice. KO them at the end of the turn. So a 4-cost action, you use it, you get 2 3/3s, but then they get KO'd at the end of the turn. They get KO'd at the end of the turn. I guess that means they go to your prep area. Just specifically say KO them instead of move them back to the use pile. So you prep 2 dice, and for a turn you get 2 3/3s. That's not bad. If you could use it on your opponent's turn and get blockers, that would be even better. But of course you can't. But still, maybe you need that last little bit of damage through. Having 2 NPCs in your use pile in a draft is pretty easy to do. Okay, so obviously you would take the super rare in a draft. They're pretty hard to do. If you didn't have that super rare, gosh, this one's not exceptional. You know, if I had this draft pack and it didn't have a super in it, I would probably go for something like a trap, like that dragon statue trap, and then see if I could get, you know, some kind of big beefy guys in the field, so that once I'd wiped out my opponent's characters, then I could swing in. Possibly the kobold trap, but then you're kind of counting on getting 2-cost characters handed to you, and you know, this one has the Chwinga, but somebody will probably snatch that up. You never know. Maybe it'll come back to you, and then you'd get a 1/1 in the field. I think it really would be best with the Batari Battlestick that has Swarm, if you could get a few of those, but once again, you're never guaranteed to get past that. So yeah, I'd say probably without the super, my first pick would probably be Dragon Statue Trap, but maybe that's the wrong decision. Who knows? You just never really know. All right, so 1 super rare. Hopefully this is not a 1 super rare display, but it's been known to happen. All right, so this is the 4th one. We've got some more Chwinga, it looks like. I think we're going to see some more Adventurers. We've got more Amber Golem. We're getting a lot of those. We've got a big Dragon, some more Batiri Battle Stack, some more Skeleton Key. Looks like the Human Fighter symbol from past sets. Put those over there. All right. So we've got that. All right. So our basic actions. This one is Candle Keep. Choose one. Draw 2 dice from your bag and roll them, or prep 2 dice from your bag. I like that a lot. That's awesome. So it's you either prep 2 dice from your bag, which is the nasty plot action, or you draw 2 dice from your bag and roll them, which is the gearing up action. But you can kind of use whichever one makes more sense. Maybe you need 2 dice right away. Maybe you want to prep for next turn. Interesting. All right, it's a 4-cost. It costs the same as gearing up and a nasty plot, but you get to choose. I like that a lot. Cone of Cold. This has already existed twice already. I'm a big fan of the global on Cone of Cold, but the action is deal 1 damage to 1 character, 2 damage to a different character, 3 damage to a 3rd character. You can only do it if there are 3 characters to deal damage to. And then the global is pay a fist, target blocked character die gets +2 attack. I've used that on a lot of teams before, including my WKO team recently. So we're really looking to get some kind of big overcrush guy, and that would be particularly helpful for us. All right. Starting with the commons again, Artist Simber. While he's attacking, all evil character dice must block him. We've seen that one before. We've also got the common Batiri Battle Stack again, so Swarm. So far, I think in this draft we've seen 1, 2, just 2 of the Batiri Battle Stacks. So 4 possible dice floating out there, but I would be surprised if somebody didn't take this early. It'd be probably hard to get both of them, unless there's more in the rest of the sets here. Birdsong, Adventurer with experience. While Birdsong is active at the end of each turn, you may spin 1 of your Adventurer character dice up 1 level. Kind of cool thematic. You got your Bard, it's helping out your Adventurers, spinning them up a level. Maybe in a draft it's helpful to get your character spun up a level, but can't see it as being the first pick. All right, we've got Fenthaza. This is the common foil. When fielded, swap target character dice, attack, and defense. So we've seen that in a global twice before, but never as a when fielded effect. Her fielding is 1/1/2, so not awesome, and not being able to use it in global speed makes it a little bit. You can't use it, for example, after blockers are declared. You can't do kind of tricky stuff with it, but maybe you could, I don't know, maybe you could eliminate a Chwinga with it if it's a 0/1. You could get it to 0 defense. Interesting. We've got the Red Dragon. Um, this is a 7 cost. It has the same stats and symbol, it looks like, as the old one, although different colored die. Breath Weapon 2, and Red Dragon's Breath Weapon deals an additional 2 damage to Adventurer character dice. So, that could be pretty helpful. Being able to deal 4 damage to your opponent's Adventurer, especially if they have some experience, they can be a little bit harder to remove. That could be pretty nice. 7 cost, though, going to be tough to get to. Alright, Skeleton Key, 2 cost this time. When fielded, you may move target trap die in the field zone to its owner's use pile. I like that they've already put in a counter to traps, because some of those traps, like that dragon statue trap, you might just be sunk if you have a bunch of characters in the field and they get that out and then you can't attack them or you lose everything all of a sudden. Being able to remove them is pretty helpful. You want to get it early, but you don't necessarily want it to be your first pick, but that is a particularly good defensive card. Tomb Dwarf. While Tomb Dwarf is active, trap dice cost you 2 less to purchase. So, kind of a hideous artwork on this one, I have to say. But, I mean, with the 12 dice, you're going to get 12 cards in the draft, but it's tough to predict that you're going to get handed traps. So I bet you this is going to see more play in Constructed, especially if you're playing only D&D. But it could help out. You could get the right things that you need. Uncommon, Captain Elok Jaherwan. God, I'm doing really bad at the names, guys. I apologize. He gets +3 attack for each other different pirate you control, and he counts as a pirate. So we've seen this before with the other pirate, +3 attack, but there just aren't very many pirates, and it's tough to get that synergy to work out. Stat-wise, 2, 5, 3, 5, 4, 6. That +3 attack would make a big difference, make it pretty well statted for a 4 cost, but not being able to guarantee it makes it tough, I think, to pick that as a first pick. All right, Goliath Fighter, an adventurer with experience. Goliath Fighter character dice get +1/+1 for each gear equipped to them. Something that we've seen before. We've seen adventurers that get bonuses for gear, but like I said, still haven't seen any gear yet. So we're halfway through the draft practically, and we still haven't seen any gear. So tough to guarantee that. Although the experience does make it a little good. It's a 2/1, 2/2, 3/3. So at a 3 cost, it's probably not great for stats, unless you were doing something where you're trying to get adventurers. Stone Golem, another new fabricator. So fabricate 2/4. It's pretty good. It's like the Flesh Golem. While Stone Golem is active, you may redirect 1 damage from target character die to Stone Golem each turn. No, I think I got that wrong. I think 2/4 is the Clay Golem. You redirect 1 damage from target character die to Stone Golem each turn. So it's not 1 damage per character die, it's just 1 damage from target character die to Stone Golem. So, obviously the Golem's a pretty good defensive stats, 5, 5, 7 on this one, but it's probably not going to make a huge difference overall. Alright, we've got the rare Amber Golem. I guess we're going to be doing some fabricating one way or another. So fabricate 2/5. Weird that it doesn't explain the fabricate on the rare. Every other one, including, I don't know if we had it on this one, but including the other Amber Golems, yeah, including the other Amber Golems, had the explanation of fabricate right there. But by the time you get to the rare, I guess they assume that you know how it works. Alright, in this case, we have got, when you purchase this die with fabricate, gain 2 life. While Amber Golem is active, reduce the character die and purchase cost requirements of fabricate abilities on your character cards by 1. Wow. Reduce the character die and purchase cost requirements. So instead of being a 2/5, this would be a 1/4. So you can decay a 1 character with a 4 cost and buy it. And this one would be a 1/3. Wow. That's really good. And every time you purchase this, gain 2 life. Well, so far, I mean, you wouldn't know this, obviously, but so far in the draft, we've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 2 Amber Golem dice. It would be pretty easy to get a lot of these and just gain life like crazy. Alright, this one I think is probably the best so far that I've seen. And then, we've got the rare Chwinga this time. 2 cost with Swarm. When fielded, when Chwinga attacks, it gets +1 attack. So when fielded, and when Chwinga attacks, it gets +1 attack. So that means if you, even if level 1, if you field it and attack it at the same turn, it's a 2 attack. When Chwinga is KO'd by non-combat damage, prep a die from your bag. Oh man, that just begs to have Shocking Grasp used on it. You get a bunch of Swarm. If they don't come up energy, you field them, you KO them with Shocking Grasp, and then you get 2 dice, 3 dice in your prep area. That's awesome. Pretty interesting. So yeah, it looks like with this draft pack, we've got some ways of doing some ramp. We can prep 2 dice, or we can draw 2 dice from your bag. We've got that Cone of Cold, so you can KO. Oh yeah, we can use Cone of Cold on Chwinga if we needed to. We could KO it with non-combat damage. Even at level 3, we could KO it. So that's interesting synergy there. Yeah, we've got a few different ways of Swarm. We got Chwinga and Battle Stack, the Batiri Battle Stack for Swarm in this case. A lot of interesting stuff in here that I don't think I would take first. I think I like that Skeleton Key. I like that a lot. I like, I like that Bird Song if it came down to that, and some other ones. I like, possibly Tube Dwarf if you've already picked up a couple of traps. But yeah, I think it would have to be a tough toss-up between Chwinga and Amber Golem. I'd probably would go for Amber Golem just for the shenanigans, and because I can already get 6 dice with my action here, I can make sure I can get the. Well, I don't need 6 dice. I need 5 characters. 2/5 is not that big of a deal. That's a 2 cost and a 3 cost, and that's not that hard to be able to fabricate. In fact, you could fabricate your Chwinga, which will get KO'd by non-combat damage. Or would it have to be damage? I would say it probably had to be damage. All right, that Amber Golem's looking pretty good. That rare Chwinga is pretty interesting. All right, doing too much speculating. All right, on to the 5th one. I'm going to do my first draft of this tomorrow, so I'll know some more after that. But I feel like having only 12 cards could be a little limiting, but the dice is not a big deal. All right, looks like this one's also got some Swarmers in it. It's got Batiri Battle Stack. It's got Chwinga in it. It's got a couple of them we've seen and a couple new ones, it looks like, as well. More Red Dragon, more of that Allosaurus. All right. So. All right. Okay, Heavy Armor, a basic action card. This is finally in the fifth pack that we've opened, first gear that we've seen. So you equip it to a character that has the equip symbol. Equipped character die gets +X defense, where X is the character die's printed defense value. So you're basically doubling their defense. If it's on the double burst face, character dice engage with the equipped character dice lose and cannot gain Overcrush. Interesting. So you get this on one of your equipped characters, and then the one Overcrush die your opponent has never gets to do any Overcrush if you can block with this. That's pretty good. Counts as gear. This cannot be ignored. And pay a shield. Target character gets +1 defense until end of turn. So global, you can pump up defense. So, good protection against Overcrush. But we haven't really seen any Overcrush yet, so maybe that's not as big of a deal. I know it's showed up in other D&D sets, but maybe it's not a big deal here. Anyway, 2 cost action, not bad. Doubling something's defense, pretty defensive. Not going to win you the game, but could help a little bit. And the first gear that we've seen. All right, Insect Plague, the one where you can roll NPCs that you draw from your bag, and you can roll them again, and you can field the NPCs. You're still not guaranteed to get any, but could help. Yeah, and if you don't get any NPCs, then they just go to your use pile. Yeah, I mean, if you roll 3 or 4 sidekicks twice and you don't get any character faces, that's totally possible to have happen, and then your action just basically fizzles. But interesting nonetheless. All right, we got those 2. Okay, we got the Aasimar Paladin. 3 cost experience, so it makes it adventure. While he's active, your adventurer character dice cannot be targeted or affected by character abilities of evil characters. Interesting. I happen to know that one of the super rares makes it so that non-evil characters get -1/-1, and this one says they're not affected by abilities, so that would protect against that. Now you're protecting against a super rare that you don't know exists, but if somebody is, going to yell out that they got that card, maybe this is the first card that you draft, and you don't have to worry about them anymore. All right, Captain Elok Jaharwan. I'm just going to assume that's right. If he has gear equipped, he gains +3 attack. Counts as a pirate. Well, finally, we have something that involves gear in a set that actually has gear in it. So, could be helpful. This would give him double defense and +3 attack if he had gear on him. So he would be either a 5/10, a 6/10, or a 7/12. And for a 4 cost, that's pretty crazy. I don't think you can flip those stats because they're constant. But man, that would be pretty interesting to have a character that big out for the gear and that. Phantaza, yep. So when fielded, swap target character's attack and defense. I don't think you can swap the attack and defense here because it's a continuous effect. But we've seen that one before. This is the common poison dart trap this time. So it's a trap, a trigger. Your opponent would roll 2 or more of the same non-NPC character die at the same time. In a normal draft, I'd say that would be pretty unlikely, but because you get 2 dice for every character that you draft, that's pretty possible, especially if there's a lot of swarm in this set, and we've seen a lot of them in this display. That's pretty possible to have happen. If it does happen, before the roll occurs, place 1 of those character dice into your opponent's use pile. Ooh. So if it was a swarm die, they would have already gotten the swarm trigger from it. So it's not amazing, but maybe if they're cycling dice or they're fabricating dice and they try to roll 2 of them at the same time, you just get to put 1 of them in the use pile. If they manage to draw 4 dice and 2 of them are non-NPC character dice, then they only get to roll 3 dice. That's interesting. Not possibly going to save you a lot of the time, but could definitely mess with your opponent, and that's always fun. All right, Common Tomb Dwarf makes your trap dice cost 2 less to purchase. Now that we've seen everything, I think everything is something one we've seen so far has had a trap die in it. So, if you like the idea of traps, maybe it's not bad to pick up because, I mean, you definitely would have gotten handed at least 1 trap by now. All right, the Yuan-Ti Abomination. 5 cost. While it's attacking, after blockers are declared, you may remove target blocking character die from combat for each attacking Yuan-Ti Abomination character die. So they're still the character dice they were originally blocking are still considered blocked. So for each of these that you attack with, you can remove target blocking character die from combat, but anything they were blocking is still blocked. If you can give them Overcrush, then you can get that guaranteed damage. That would be pretty interesting. But without any way of giving Overcrush in draft and a 5 cost, you can definitely, I mean, you'll get 2 dice for drafting this 1 card, but getting both of them as a 5 cost, and even then your characters are still blocked, all it would really do is protect cards that you want to stay alive. And I don't know about that one. All right. Uncommon Twinga, that means we've got all 3 of them now. It's a 2 cost with Swarm. When an NPC character die is fielded, spin each of your Twinga character dice up 1 level. Well, it does have interesting synergy with the Insect Plague. You have a pretty good chance of fielding sidekicks that way, so you can spin your Twingas up a level. Still, they're only going to be a 1/2 even at level 3. It might save them a little bit. And they do have Swarm, which is helpful, but, you're still not going to get much out of them. All right, it's the Uncommon Human Outlander this time. Experience. While Human Outlander is active, your NPC character dice get +1/+1. God, I'm a fan of giving sidekicks +1/+1. It's nice having that extra damage. They're basically doubled, and that can mean a lot. It's a 4 cost. This fielding cost 0 and 2. I mean, one of the first cards I ever pulled was the Stargirl from Justice League, and she was a 4 cost bolt that gave your sidekicks +1/+1, but she didn't have experience. She did have slightly better stats, but also about the same fielding. So sometimes things just get better over time. All right, Uncommon Red Dragon. It's a 6 cost with Breath Weapon 1. So the other one had Breath Weapon 2, but it was a 7 cost. So just a straight up, good stats. Breath Weapon 1 could be helpful. Uncommon Tomb Dwarf. While Tomb Dwarf is active, when one of your trap dice triggers, you may pay 1. If you do, prep that trap die instead of moving it to the use pile. Interesting. The common Tomb Dwarf makes traps cheaper, but even then, most of the traps we've seen have been, 2 or 3 costs anyway. Even 1 cost in the case of this. Being able to prep them once they trigger means you can kind of keep them out into the field. That's interesting. All right, Allosaurus. Okay, first Overcrush that we've seen. 5 cost is a 3/4, 4/4, 5/5 with Overcrush. And we do know that Cone of Cold exists in the set, so you could get that extra if it gets blocked. Um, but so far we got one. I think Battle for Faerun only had one Overcrusher, and that was the Purple Worm. So maybe it's, they don't have a lot of it, but nice that there's at least one of them. All right, so we've got the rare Batiri Battle Stick. This is a 3-cost swarm. While Queen Grabstab is active, we've seen one of her so far. Batiri Battle Stack gets +1/+1, and when Batiri Battle Stack's swarm ability is triggered, draw 2 dice instead of 1. It does require another card that we haven't seen, and so in a draft you wouldn't know if that existed or not. And 3 cost for a swarm, especially when it's a 1/1/2/1/2/2. That's tough. This is the kind of thing where if you had 2 piles and you had Queen Grabstab in the other pile, it would be an easy pickup because you'd be able to get the synergy off. But as it stands, that's hard to do going in. I don't know for this one. I might go for the Chwinga. I might go for the Asmar Paladin. Pretty helpful. You have to have a couple of adventurers in mind, though. I might even go for the uncommon Tomb Dwarf and see if I can get a couple of traps to keep cycling. Or just the rare Allosaurus and get the Overcrush going. Alright. 3 more to go. We have got the... So this is... we've done 5. This is number 6. Alright, so we've got Frost Giant, we've got, I believe that's Dragonborn Sorcerer, we've got, we've seen that one, the Rost Sea, another Allosaurus, Skeleton Key. Alright. Doesn't look like anything that we might be able to get a super rare for, but you never know. Alright. Oh, look at that. That art looks familiar. Guardian of Faith. That is the Dwarf Wizard art, but it's a basic action card. It's continuous. Whenever you could use a global ability, you can send this die to the used pile to have target level 1 attacking character die considered blocked without assigning a character die to block it. Or instead, you may target an attacker character die of any level. So you leave it in the field. If your opponent is attacking you with a level 1 attacking character, you can send this to the used pile to just say, that's blocked, but I don't have to assign a character die to block it. If that character die has Overcrush, it's going to deal all of its damage anyway. It reminds me of I believe it was the Clea ability from one of the team packs where you could sort of just like assign a blocker without having to do anything. If you're playing a satchel team and you just want more continuous dice without having to worry about getting overran by characters, that could be helpful, but I guess it's just going to be so that it makes it harder. It makes it harder for your opponent to get more characters than you have blockers. But then you just have to get a 3-cost action in the field instead of a blocker. I think I'd rather have a 2-cost character in the field. All right. Another foil basic action. This is Holy Avenger. Finally, another gear card. It is so it needs to be equipped. Equipped character die gets +3 attack. If the equipped character would be KO'd, you may instead clear all damage from the equipped die and send Holy Avenger to your used pile. This die counts as gear. Boy, getting this on one of the pirates that gets +3 attack. Now, just for having this one, it gets +6 attack, and it basically can't get KO'd unless you KO it twice. That's pretty interesting. I always liked gear. It's not super awesome. It's not even great in set all the time. It's just fun. I think that's a fun card. It's probably not going to be great in draft unless you get something interesting in this pack, like one of those pirates. But could be interesting to play around with just for fun. All right, Allosaurus, the common, no text, 4-cost. Pretty decent stats. We've seen that one. Dragonborn Sorcerer, the common this time. It's just a 3-cost with experience. But it's a 1/3/2/4/2/6. So it starts out with pretty decent defense stats. But it's going to be, you're going to have to find some way of KOing your opponent's monsters. Although, you could equip it with Holy Avenger. Alright, Goliath Fighter, the common experience. While Goliath Fighter is active at the end of each turn, if 2 or more opposing NPC character dice were KO'd, Goliath Fighter gains an experience token. So normally to get experience you have to KO a monster. This lets you do it with NPC dice, but you have to do 2 at once. If you had Cone of Cold, it would be pretty easy to activate that on a regular basis. But without it, yeah, it's going to be tough. Okay. Pseudo Dragon, 2 cost. If you have an active character die with a tune, Pseudo Dragon costs 1 less to purchase. Pseudo Dragon does not need to be active to use his ability. So if you have an attune character, and we've seen quite a few of them, it's a 1 mask card. God, we haven't seen one of those since Yu-Gi-Oh, right? It is a 1/1/2/2/2/3, so not quite as broken as the stats on that Morphing Jar, but it would be pretty easy. Doesn't have to be active use of the ability, and it doesn't say once per turn. So if you could just get 1 attuned character in the field, you could spend 4 masks and get all 4 of these in 1 turn. That's pretty interesting. All right, common Rasti. You may purchase a gear die for 1. When fielded, you may purchase a gear die for 1 and immediately equip it to Rasti. Now that's interesting because you already have gear that costs 4. You field him and you get a 1. You get it for 1 because it counts as gear. You can buy your basic action for 1 then. You get hit on him. That makes him, if he gets that one, it'd be a 7/2, 8/3, 9/4 if he gets +3 attack. It's probably a card that I wouldn't pick up normally, but with this particular gear as your basic action, that's pretty interesting. All right, foil common Skeleton Key, the one that removes a trap to the use pile. We have got Valindra Shadow Mantle, Energy Drain, and Attune. We've seen that one before as well. The uncommon Acerak this time. Attune, again. While Acerak is active, when you use an action die, the next evil character you purchase costs 2 less to a minimum of 1. Pretty interesting, because you're going to want to be using actions with Attune anyway. These are not the best actions for this one, because we got a continuous and an equip, which is effectively continuous, so you're not going to be really using them that much. So with these particular basic actions, not as great as it could have been. Global, pay 1 generic once per turn, reroll target action die in your reserve pool or field zone. Or field zone. Why would you want to reroll an action in your field zone? I guess if you have the kiln and you really want to remove it for a turn, or you just really need the energy or something. But rerolling an action in your reserve pool, that's obviously going to be helpful. That is pretty good tech against Scarlet Witch, now that you think about it. For 1 generic, you can reroll the action die that didn't come up in your reserve pool. Might be helpful outside a set. Uncommon Frost Giant here. Frost Giant cannot be blocked by level 1 character dice. And he's got a lot of defense, so if your opponent's trying to field sidekicks, they're not going to be able to block him. A lot of attack, I mean. That could be pretty good. That could be unblockable, especially he is equipable. You could give him Holy Avenger. All right, uncommon Zandala Simber. Attune, it's a 3 cost. When Zandala Simber would be KO'd, instead clear all damage from her if your opponent has any active good character dice. That's the kind of thing that's going to be a lot better in draft than it is going to be in constructed play, because you can't always guarantee good character dice. I mean, back in the day when Dwarf Wizard was the best blanker, you probably could have guaranteed that they had that as their good character, but now with Shriek out, you probably don't see that as much. Still, in set, you get an Attune, but once again, our action's not that great for Attune in this case, so we gotten some decent cards that have been kind of stymied by our basic action choices here. But interesting card nonetheless. Rare Gold Dragon, Breath Weapon 3 for a 6 cost. The red dragon with Breath that was a 6 cost was Breath Weapon 1. So that's pretty good. And it has a tune. What's a max 2? Interesting. I wonder how many of those I might have missed. It's a 4/4, 6/6, 7/8. 1/2/3 fielding, of course, but with a tune, Breath Weapon 3. It's also a good dragon, which doesn't always show up. That is a pretty good card to have there. You get to deal damage to ping down things, and then Breath Weapon 3 on the 6 cost means you can clear a lot of your opponent's field. That'll be pretty helpful. And for having that, you could maybe get that Pseudo Dragon. Speaking of Pseudo Dragon, while Pseudo Dragon is active, this is the rare, your Attune character dice deal 2 damage with the Attune ability instead of 1. Oh, man. Somehow you want to be able to get both of these at once. Having Attune, doing an extra damage with Attune. So a 2 cost that makes your Attune deal an extra damage. God, you really want to put that on a team with some kind of Attune characters and Cosmic Cube, right? Then you deal 4 damage just for having Cosmic Cube out. So constructed play, interesting. As far as this set, that Gold Dragon is pretty good, although we don't have any ramp for it. We didn't get any of our basic actions, although it's a decent chance your opponent will, but that means you're not getting it otherwise. Zondala Simber is a pretty good card, although different actions probably required. You might have to be buying your opponent's basic actions in that case. You know, can't be blocked by level 1 characters. Can be pretty helpful if you need to get that last damage through and they're feeling psychic to try to prevent it. I like that Skeleton Key. I like that Rostasy with this Holy Avenger. I also think that I probably would have passed a lot of those pirates by now, and so being able to get Holy Avenger with a pirate, I'd say that'd be interesting. Pseudo Dragon though, be able to get that for a 1 cost. If you could see if you could, I mean there are 4 just in this pack, but you probably would only get one of them if you took the common and not the rare. Yeah, I'd say probably something like Skeleton Key or that Rostasy just for fun combo stuff in this one. All right, 2 more. We've only seen 1 super rare so far, so cross your fingers with me that we get another one in these last 2 draft packs here. I've opened plenty of feeds and only had 1, so it'd be nice not to have that happen again. We got some more Kobold Trap. Looks like, oh my gosh, we got 3 different traps. That's a Green Mask. We haven't seen that yet, but I've seen it myself. So we got a couple different pirates here. We've got another Frost Giant. We've got that Yuan-Ti Pureblood, it looks like. Oh my god, we have 4 different traps. We've got 2 different dragon traps, Kobold Trap, a green double mask. Looks like a Fabricator, and then another Triceratops. Well, a couple of those have super rare versions. You never know. Maybe we get one here. Okay. We have our card there. Okay, we have Candlekeep again. So gearing up slash Nasty Plot. Pretty good if you need to get to those bigger cards. Magic Missile. We had 3 different versions of Conical. We have 3 different versions of Magic Missile now. At least this one is still called Magic Missile. So deals damage to target character to our player. The double reverse face, and it didn't get used a lot when it first came out, but in draft, you get to deal extra damage to a character die equal to the level of your highest level adventurer in the field zone. Pretty good. We're going to have to use Magic Missile, so we're probably going to want to pick up something with a tune, maybe some adventures, so we can do some extra pings, and we're going to want to buy it because it can be used against us pretty easily in draft, especially if your opponent has any attunes. All right, starting with the commons again, Basilisk. When fielded, roll target character die from your used pile. If it rolls a character face, KO target opposing character die of the same level as the face rolled. Return the rolled die to your used pile. I mean, I see the removal for it, but as a 5 cost with a 1/2/2 fielding and only a, if they have like a couple of characters that are the same level, a 1 in 6 chance of getting them out of there. Yeah, and it KOs them. It doesn't even move into use pile. That's not good enough removal for me. All right, Captain Lascalar. When he has gear equipped, he gets +3 attack. You know you're going to want to use that with with that +3 attack Holy Avenger. That would make him, let's see, so +3 and an additional +3 would make him an 8/5, 9/5, 10/6. Gosh, I just love the opportunity to maybe do that. No way to give him Overcrush in set, it looks like, at least not that I've seen. But just to have that, it would be pretty funny to me. Dragon Statue Trap, the common that we've seen, your opponent attacks you and you get to pay X damage to deal damage to all their opposing character dice. You do have to save energy every turn if you want to activate that, so it could be a little bit, they could be opportunistic and try to get it out of the field when you don't have any energy, which could be tough, but pretty helpful there. The common Green Devil Mask is another trap. Trigger, your opponent has 4 or more active character dice. So if they have it when you play it, it triggers right away. If they have 3 in the field and you put it out, then they feel the 4th one, it'll trigger then. The effect is your opponent must re-roll all of their active character dice, move any that roll an energy phase to their use pile. I love the idea behind this trap. Just, you sort of dare your opponent to field a 4th character, and then if they do, you're going to end up punishing them by hopefully removing their whole field on their turn, so that you can swing in the next turn. I can definitely see that helping you out. I'll see if it comes up. All right, Stone Golem, 2/4. You may KO 2 character dice with total purchase cost 4 or more to purchase for free. When Stone Golem is active, prevent 1 combat damage to you from each attacking character die each turn. From each attacking character die. That is pretty good defense there. The other one that we saw, you could just redirect 1 damage. This one, though, you just let everything go through. 1 of the damage gets blocked. If they're attacking with small characters, then you've got them. That's pretty helpful. All right, another Overcrush here. The common Triceratops cannot be blocked by level 1 character dice, and it has Overcrush. It's a 3/1, 4/2, 6/3, so it's probably going to get KO'd, but hopefully along the way it's able to deal some Overcrush damage. Still, not bad. If you had this, though, and you had Magic Missile, it's tough to put a character die that can get pinged off so easily. Maybe you don't want it only because of your basic action. That's a tough call. All right, the common Yuan-Ti Pureblood. It has a tune. When you use an action die, Yuan-Ti Pureblood character dice cannot be blocked until end of turn. I like that a lot. Without any way of using Blink Transmutation, unblockable is pretty hard to deal with. And it's a 2/1, 3/1, 3/3. So you've dealt damage with your Magic Missile. So you've dealt them 2 damage and possibly pinged something off. And then all of your Yuan-Ti Purebloods, which are 2 costs, are unblockable. And you've already dealt an extra damage because of a tune. That combo is probably going to be my favorite so far. We'll see if anything is going to top that in the uncommons and rares here. All right. Uncommon, we have got Captain Elok Jaharwan. +3 attack for each other different pirate you control. We've seen that one before. We have an uncommon Kobold Trap. Trigger, your opponent fields an adventurer character die. And there's a lot of them. They're probably going to have them. Effect, purchase one of your character dice with Swarm for free and place it into your bag. You know, that's with Swarm, you want it to be in your bag because then hopefully you've got one in the field and you can then get your Swarm trigger on the next turn. Interesting ability, also a 1 cost. I think all of them have been a 1 cost now. Yeah, I mean, there's a chance your opponent just won't field adventurers, but that's pretty interesting. And there's a lot of Swarm. We've seen a bunch of it. Could be helpful. All right, uncommon Dragon Statue Trap. The trigger as an opponent attacks you. The effect would be move an unpurchased dragon character die from one of your cards to the field zone at level 3. Return that die to its card at the end of the turn. You know, if you could attack with it, that would be pretty amazing. Although that would be a little bit broken, I admit. But you basically get a level 3 dragon in the field as a blocker when your opponent attacks you. And the level 3 dragons are going to have some pretty decent stats. But yeah, I still like the other one better, I think. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, we've got Captain Elok Jaharwan, the rare this time. While he's active, when you purchase an evil character die, you may pay an additional 1 generic energy. If you do, place the purchase die into your bag instead of your use pile. So instead of paying a shield to prep it with chalkboard, you can pay 1 generic to put it in your bag. It's okay. It only works for evil character dice. It counts as a pirate, can't be ignored. Yeah, it's interesting. If you already had a couple evil, maybe, but I don't necessarily see it. And then we've got the rare Frost Giant. This is a 7 cost. When fielded, deal 4 damage to all adventurer character dice. Now that can make it pretty tough if your opponent's getting an adventurer team altogether. And also you're going to have, you know, a 5/2, a 6/4, or an 8/5 in the field, and 4 damage. It is all adventurer character dice, so it could be your own as well. So that's tough. And it's a 7 cost. Yeah, you know, I think if I was going to do this, I would probably go for the common Yuan-Ti Pureblood and leave the rares even in the pack, though. But just the ability to use Magic Missile with that would be pretty awesome. So, all right. All right. We've got 1 pack to go. So I hope there's a super rare in this one. I'd really like that super rare Yuan-Ti Pureblood or that ring, but we'll see what happens here. We have got another Tyrannosaurus zombie. We have got that one we have not seen before. Red Dragon, some other traps. Yeah, I'm not too optimistic, guys. Another Batiri Battle Stack, and another Twingo. So that's like, how many of these have had Swarm in them? So this has had a Swarm. No Swarm in that one. 2 Swarms in that one. 2 Swarms. Actually, so far we've had 3 draft packs that have both a Twinga and a Batiri Battle Stack in them. This one has just a Twinga. This one has just a Batiri Battle Stack. So of the sets that we've gotten so far, 5 of them have had at least 1 Swarm character, and the other 3 have had none. So, seems like it's not too hard to be able to get Swarm as your option there. All right, we've got our card there. Okay, so last pack we have got Cone of Cold. We've seen that one before, basic action, and Magic Missile. Wow. Okay, we're really hoping for some attune here with all of the direct damage we're going to be able to do. Not Cone of Cold isn't direct damage to your opponent, but you can ping it off, ping off their characters to deal unblockable damage, and you've got the Magic Missile. Yeah, you're going to be pretty set if you can get something like that common, Yuan Ti Pureblood with this. That would be pretty devastating. All right, one cost Twinga, the common Swarm. Doppelganger this time, the common. We have not seen this one yet. When fielded, you may select target character die you control. If you do, your Doppelganger character die become copies of that target character die. It has all the names, subtitles, affiliations, abilities, and stats of the original in place of its own. They remain copies until another character die is selected or you no longer have any active Doppelganger character dice. Interesting, because it's a lot like Mimic from the X-Men First Class set. Same cost even. Same fielding cost even. Although better stats if you don't get to do the copying. But it also takes the subtitles, the affiliations, the names, the abilities. And in D&D, the names and the subtitles can be a little bit more important. You can get it to be a fiend or something. And abilities. That's because Mimic only stole the attack and defense, but you did also get other effects like prepping. Pretty interesting. If you've got a good character that you got one of, you could use it to become another Swarm character, I think. It should get Swarm. And then I think in that case it would check for that die. That could be pretty interesting to check out. Alright, so we have the Common Gold Dragon. We've seen this one, the Breath Weapon 1 and the Anti-Breath Weapon X. The Common Red Dragon, Breath Weapon 2. And it deals an extra 2 damage against your character dice. We've seen that one as well. You skipped one there. Silver Dragon this time. It is Anti-Breath Weapon 1. When an opponent uses a Breath Weapon, you pay 1 to reduce the damage to you and each of your character dice by 1 each. So you can't cancel it entirely like you can with the Gold Dragon, but you can just pay 1 and reduce 1 of it. When Silver Dragon attacks, it gets +1 attack until end of turn. So it would be, when attacking, a 4/3, 5/4, 6/6. It's pretty decent. I mean, I guess the thing about the Gold Dragon's anti-breath weapon is that you have to actually pay the full cost to cancel it. Whereas this one, if you just have 1 energy, you could cancel 1 of the damage, which might be enough. Maybe they only have breath weapon 1. I can see it having its use there. Alright, Tyrannosaurus Zombie, the common. When fielded, field all zombie character dice in your use pile at level 2. There's been a bit of debate about this on the Facebook group recently. I'm pretty sure that this just means the specific zombie die, not anything with zombie in the name. But they'll rule on that soon, hopefully. But even then, if you can get a couple of zombies, getting them, they have to be in your used pile, but you could buy one and then field it and then get it in the field at level 2, so you get like an extra die that comes along. Not as good as the rare, obviously, but pretty decent for that. It is a 6 cost, and we don't have any way of ramping with these actions. So, we'll see how that goes. Speaking of zombies, here is a zombie. It's a 2 cost. When zombie KOs an NPC character die, choose one. You can either field the zombie character die in your used pile at level 2, or spin all of your active zombie character dice up 1 level. I really like the ability to get to choose there. If you don't have any in the field, well, you have 1 in the field. You could get another one, or you could spin it up a level. You get some choice there. I like that these guys let you field at level 2, and Tyrannosaurus Zombie lets you field at level 2. So if somehow you could get a few different zombies, you could get max dice for it, and then just kind of overwhelm your opponent maybe. But it seems like it'd be tough to pull off. All right, 5 cost Allosaurus is the uncommon. When it attacks, it gets +2 attack. So we've now seen all the Allosaurus dice. It's either going to be blank and a 4 cost, or a 5 cost and get +2 attack when attacking, or it's going to be a 5 cost and have Overcrush. I think of all of those, I'd probably rather have the Overcrush, but possibly if you're able to mitigate your opponent's blockers with things like Magic Missile and Cone of Cold, having +2 attack to be 5, 6, or 7 could be pretty devastating for him. Alright, we have the uncommon Batiri Battle Stack, which is, I think we've seen all of them now, which I'm excited about because I like this card. Swarm, when fielded, you may move an NPC die from your used pile under this character die. While a Batiri Battlestat character die has an NPC die under it, it gets +1/+1, and if it leaves the field zone, move any NPC dice under it to the used pile. So it has Swarm, and then when you field them, they basically capture one of your own sidekick dice from your used pile, which seems kind of, but that can thin your bag pretty significantly, right? Even just with one swarm die, you could be thinning your bag by drawing a lot every turn, and then if you happen to roll them on character faces, now you're pulling sidekicks out of your rotation, and you can get through stuff pretty quickly, especially if you're trying to do magic missile damage. I really like that. I don't know, I like that one a lot. Poison Dart Trap. We have seen this one before, where if they roll 2 or more of, oh no, different one. Sorry, we've seen this is the third one that we haven't seen yet. So a trap card, 2-cost bolt, trigger an opponent during their first roll of their roll and reroll step rolls 2 or more sidekick dice on their character face, or NPC dice, sorry, but on their character face. So that's a tough thing to have to pull off. So they have to roll 2 sidekick characters on their first roll, not the roll and reroll. And the effect is move up to 2 of the NPC dice that rolled a character face to your opponent's use pile. I mean, they don't get the reroll in that case, but you're kind of counting on if your opponent is able to ramp. Like if you had the candle, what was it called? Candle keep basic action, where they were probably going to be rolling, 6 dice a turn. That seems like it could be helpful, but otherwise that seems like it's hard for them to roll. Anyway, the double burst effect. Instead, move all of the NPC dice that rolled a character face to your opponent's use pile. And most of the time, you're hoping that they roll 2. If they roll extra, the double burst will help. But yeah, it seems like it'd be hard to pull off. But it's also hard for them to get it out of the field if they wanted to trigger it, early or something. All right, so we've got Zondala Simber, the rare. She has a tune. When she attacks, draw 2 dice from your bag. You may roll any action dice you drew and place the rest, including unrolled action dice, in your used pile. Place any rolled dice showing an action face in the reserve pool. Prep the other rolled dice. So, you draw 2 dice. If you don't draw any actions, you prep them. If you draw any actions, you roll them. If they come up action, they go into your reserve. If they come up as Wait, what? Draw 2 dice from your bag. You may roll any action dice you drew and place the rest, including unrolled action dice, in your use pile. Place any rolled dice showing an action face in the reserve pool. Prep the other rolled dice. Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but it seems like any non-action dice are already in your used pile, so what exactly are you prepping in this case? I'm going to have to read this a little bit more on my own. With Magic Missile and Cone of Cold, you got the Attune trigger. You've got the ability to maybe get them out early. But if they don't roll, they go back to your use pile. So that seems a little sketchy. And what are you prepping? Maybe I'm missing something obvious, and someone will explain it in the comments. But I'm going to have to read that one again on my own. Possible because of Magic Missile, but we'll see. And, we did get another super rare. All right, it is the super rare Triceratops. That was our last chance, and we got it at the last second there. While Triceratops is active, when an opponent fields a level 1 character die, deal damage to that die equal to the attack of your active Triceratops character die with the highest attack. So it's a 4-cost. It has a 3/1, 4/2, 6/3 sides. So if you have this active and your opponent rolls a level 1 character and they try to field it, you're going to deal 3 or 4 or 6 damage to it. Which, 6 damage is going to KO pretty much any level 1 character. I'm trying to think, even in sort of modern age generally, if I can think of a 6. Because even Blob is going to have 1/5 at level 1, I think, or 1/4. So, yeah, I think 6 would KO basically any level 1 character. Now, they're not rolling level 1 characters, it's kind of useless, and that's, unfortunate in that case. But still, could be pretty good to keep characters out of the field if you wanted to attack. So let's think about what we've got so far. So I've got all these separated out still. If you just wanted to see the draft pack opening, then that is all 8 of the draft packs. I think just for the last little second here, though, we've got 8 of these packs here. Obviously, 2 of them have super rares in them, and so those are pretty good stacks that you might want to get past to you. Although, I will say they're not necessarily the most competitive super rares. In a draft, I think Triceratops is probably better than it would probably be in Constructed. This Kirsa Ball might be a little better in Constructed if you could make it work. Although in draft, you're going to get Sidekick Dice. That's pretty interesting. I really liked that combo with the 1T Pureblood and Magic Missile. I think that would be a pretty fun hand to get dealt. I liked the idea of using the Freight Food and Water basic action to get the rare Tyrannosaurus Zombie. That would be a pretty good hand to get. Although I don't think any of these are particularly bad. And if you're doing a pot of 8, right, you're going to get your hand twice, but you're barely going to get any cards out of the second one. So it's hard. It looks like it's going to be difficult to pick a strategy just based on your first 12, because you don't get that sort of, I liked in normal drafts being able to get that synergy of I can look at both piles and I can figure out what I'm going to be able to definitely get two things I can use together. You're not going to be able to do that with this, but a lot of these seem to work pretty well with the basic actions, and yeah. Anyway, which one was your favorite? Which one of these 8 would you have liked to get in your first hand? I mean, obviously 2 super rares, that's probably pretty good. But as far as synergy goes, if you were really trying to win the draft for some reason, I wonder which one you think would be the best. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.